the chase of Robin Hood. So Robin Hood and the others left the archery range at Finsbury Fields, and Charing Knot set forth straight away upon their homeward journey. It was well for them that they had did so, for they had not gone more than 3 or 4 miles upon their way, when 6 of the yeomen of the King's guards came bustling among the crowd that still lingered, seeking for Robin Hood and his men, to seize upon them and make them prisoners. Truly it was an ill-done thing in the King to break his promise, but it all came about through the Bishop of Hereford's doings, for this is happened. After the King left the archery ground, he went straightway to his cabin, and with him went the Bishop of Hereford and Sir Robert Lee. But the King said never a word to these two, but sat gnawing his nether lip, for his heart was galled within him by what had happened. At least the Bishop of Hereford spoke, in a low sorrowful voice. "It is a sad thing, your Majesty, that this knavish outlaw should be let escape in this wise, for let him but get back to Sherwood Forest safe and sound, and he may snap his fingers at King and Queen's kinsmen." At these words the King raised his eyes and looked grimly up on the Bishop. "Sayst thou so?" quoth he. "Now I will show thee in good time how much thou doest err, for when the 40 days are past and gone, I will seize upon the thieving outlaw, if I have to tear down all the Sherwood to find him. Thinkest thou that the law of the King of England are to be so evaded by one poor knave without friends or money?" Then the Bishop spoke again in his soft, smooth voice. "Forgive my boldness, your Majesty, and believe that I have not but the good of England and your Majesty's desirings at heart. But what would it boot, though my gracious lord did root up every tree of Sherwood? Are there not other places for Robin Hood's hiding? Can Knock chase it not far from Sherwood, and the great forest of Ardeen is not far from Channock Chase? Besides, there are many other woodlands in Nottingham and Derby, Lincoln and York, amid any of which your Majesty might as well think to seize upon Robin Hood as to lay fingers upon a rat among the dust and broken things of a garrant. Nay, my gracious lord, if he doeth one plant foot in the woodland, he is the lost of the law forever." At these words the King tapped his fingers upon the table beside him with vexation. "What would thou have me do, Bishop?" quoth he. "Dost thou not hear me pledge my word to the Queen? Thy talk is barren as the wind from the bellows upon dead coals." "Far be it from me," said the cunning Bishop, "to point the way to one so clearly sighted as your Majesty. But when I were King of England, I should look up on the matter in this wise. I promised my Queen, let us say, that for 40 days the cunningest rouge is all England shall have freedom to come and go. But lo, I find this outlaw in my grasp. Shall I, then, foolishly cling to a promise so hastily given? Suppose that I had promised to her Majesty's bidding, thereupon she bade me to slay myself. Should I, then, shut mine eyes and run blindly upon my sword? Thus would I argue within myself. Moreover, I would say unto myself, a woman knoweth naught of the great things apparenting to state government. And likewise I know a woman is ever prone to take up a fancy, even as she would pluck a daisy from the roadside and then throw it away when the savour is gone. Therefore, though she have taken a fancy to this outlaw, it will soon wave away and be forgotten. As for me, I have the greatest villain in all England in my grasp. Shall I, then, open my hand and let him slip betwixt my fingers? Thus, your Majesty, would I say to myself, were I the King of England. So the bishop talked, and the king lent his ear to his evil counsel, until, after a while, he turned to Sir Robert Lear and bade him send 6 of the yeomen of the guard to take Robin Hood and his 3 men prisoners. Now Sir Robert Lear was a gentle and noble knight, and he felt grieved to the heart to see the king so break his promise. Nevertheless he said nothing, for he saw how bitterly the king was set against Robin Hood, but he did not send the yeomen of the guard at once, but went first to the queen, and told her all that had passed, and bade her send word to Robin of his danger. This he did not for the well-being of Robin Hood, but because he would save the Lord's honour if he could. Thus it came about that when after a while the yeomen of the guard went to the archery field, they found not Robin Hood and the others, and so got no cakes at the fair. The afternoon was already well nigh gone when Robin Hood, Little John, Will, and Ellen set forth upon their homeward way, trudging along merrily through the yellow slanting light, which speedily changed to rosy red as the sky sunk low in the heavens. The shadows grew long, and finally merged into the greyness of the mellow twilight. The dusty highway lay all white betwixt the dark hedgerows, and along the way 4 fellows, like 4 shadows, the pad of their feet sounding loud, and their voices, as they talked, ringing clear up on the silence of the air. The great round moon was floating breathlessly up in the eastern sky when they saw before them the twilighting light of Bartney town, some 10 or 12 miles from London. Down they walked through the stony streets and past the cosy houses with overhanging gables, before the doors of which sat the burghers and craftsmen in the mellow moonlight, with their families about them, and so came at least on to the side of the hamlet, to a little inn all in shadows, with roses and woodbines. Before this inn Robin Hood stopped, for the spot pleased him well. Quoth he, "Here we will take up our inn and rest for the night, for we are well away from London town and our king's wrath. Moreover, if I am not mistaken, we will find sweet farthing with him. What say ye, lads?" "In sooth, good master," quoth Little John, "thy bidding and my doing ever fit together like cakes and ale. Let us in, I say also." Then up spake Will Scarlet, "I am ever ready to do what thou sayst, uncle, yet I could wish that we were farther up on our way ere we rest for the night. Nevertheless, if thou thinkest best, let us in for the night, say I also." So in they went and called for the best that the place afforded. Then a right good feast was set before them, with 2 stout bottles of old sack to wash it within down. These things were served by a plump and buxom a lass as you could find in all land, so that Little John, who always had an eye for a fair lass, even when meat and drink were by, struck his arms akimbo and fixed his eyes upon her winking sweetly whenever he saw her looking towards him. Then you should see how the lass twinkled with laughter, and how she looked at Little John out of the corner of her eyes, and dimple coming in either cheek, for the fellow had always a talking way with the women folk.